Okay, so I'm going to talk about the three problems of this assignment. I'm not going to give any solution this time. I'm just going to give you some pointers on how to start the problem. Okay, so this is number one. You're getting ready for a family vacation. You decided to download as many movies as possible before leaving for the road trip. If each movie takes 1 2/5 hours to download and you download it for 5 1/4 hours, how many movies did you download? Okay, so if each movie takes 1 2/5 hours to download and you download it for 5 1/4 hours. Okay, so to solve this problem, all you're doing is just to divide, because if I change this question, let's say, okay, so let's say if you, okay, instead of 1 2/5, let's say if it takes 2 hours to download a movie. So I just made up this number. And then you spend 6 hours altogether to download the movies. Okay, and then I asked you, so how many movies did you download? You can pretty much do this in your head, because in your head you would just be doing 6 divided by 2, and then you get 3, so that's 3 movies. So in this case, it is the same thing. You just, instead of whole numbers, you have fractions. So you have 5 1/4 hours divided by 1 2/5 hours. And then your answer will be, I don't know, you figure it out yourself, but the unit is going to be movies. Okay, so just don't forget to change these mixed numbers into improper fractions first before you simplify. Okay, so let's move on. A remote control Jeep is 12 1/2 inches wide, while an actual Jeep is pictured to be 18 3/4 feet wide. What is the value of the ratio of the width of the remote control Jeep to the width of the actual Jeep? Okay, so this is a complicated question. Okay, so a remote control Jeep is only 12 1/2 inches wide, but then a real one is 18 3/4 feet wide. Okay, and you are asked to find the value of the ratio of the width of the remote control Jeep to the width of the actual Jeep. Okay, so let's just start by writing out the ratio. Okay, so the toy versus the real car. So toy versus the real thing, the real Jeep. Okay, so that is 12 1/2 inches to 18 3/4 feet. Okay, we have different units here. One is in inches, the other one is in feet. This is actually not a ratio, it's a rate. So if I have to write as a ratio, I need to convert them to the same unit. In other words, I need to convert 18 3/4 feet into inches. So feet is way longer than inches, because 1 foot equals 12 inches. So in order for me to convert 18 3/4 feet to inches, I would have to start by doing 18 3/4 times 12 first. Okay, so to give you a freebie to save time here, I'll tell you what this is. So 18 3/4 times 12 is 225. So 225 inches. Okay, so now let's rewrite this ratio with the same units. Okay, so the ratio is actually 12 1/2 inches to 225 inches. And since they're both in inches, so I can omit the unit here just to write the ratio. And now, okay, if you still remember, you can rewrite ratio as a fraction, because let's say if you have a to b or a to b like this is the same as a over b. This is all 6th grade, 5th grade stuff. You should remember. If not, okay, so now you know. Okay, so let me shrink this. Okay, so in other words, to write this one, 12 and 1/2 to 225, in order to find the value of this ratio, we have to rewrite that as a fraction. So this is 12 and 1/2 over 225. Okay, and you all know you can't use 12 and 1/2 to find, you can use a mixed number to simplify this. So change that to an improper fraction. 12 times 2 is 24 plus 1, so you have 25 halves over 225. And then I'll leave this to you to simplify it. Once you simplify this part, you will be able to find the answer, and that will be the value of the ratio that you need. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, number 4, which is the last problem. 1/3 cup of flour is used to make 5 dinner rolls. A. How many cups of flour are needed to make 3 dozen dinner rolls? B. How many rolls can you make with 5 2/3 cups of flour? And C. How many flour is needed to make 1 dinner roll? Okay, this is the most complicated question of this whole assignment. Okay, I will start by asking you, what is 3 dozen? And you know that 3 dozen, okay, 1 dozen is 12, so 3 dozen is 12 times 3, which is 36. So here 3 dozen, here it just means 36 dinner rolls. Okay, so now let's look back at the original information here that we need. So 1/3 cups of flour is used to make 5 dinner rolls. It will be very helpful if you find a unit rate first. That means how much flour is needed to make 1 dinner roll. And did you notice that is actually the question for part C? So I guess for part A and part B, the question originally wanted you to use some different ways to solve the problem. But I find that if you find a unit rate first, so if you do part C first, it will make part A and part B a lot easier. Okay, so let's just do that. How much flour is needed for 1 dinner roll? Okay, so 1/3 cup of flour is used to make 5 dinner rolls. So 1 dinner roll, that will be your denominator because you're looking at how much flour per dinner roll. So whenever the unit is here, is the 1 unit is there, that will be your denominator because we're looking for unit rate. Okay, so you need to do flour, excuse me. Okay, so flour over dinner roll. Okay, so flour is 1/3 cup, so 1/3 cup over 5 dinner rolls. Okay, so this is a complex fraction, so let's simplify it. So 1/3, I'll write down the unit when I'm done, over 5. I'm going to multiply the big denominator and the big numerator by 3 to get rid of this little denominator of 3. So 1/3 times 3 gives me 1, and then 5 times 3 is 15. So your answer is, it takes 1/15th cup of flour to make 1 dinner roll. So 1/15th cup per dinner roll. I'll just use dr here. And remember, even though we do this part first, it's actually your answer for part C, so part C is done. So now let's use this to figure out part A. So how many cups of flour are needed to make 3 dozen dinner rolls? And we know that 3 dozen is 36. And 1/15th of a cup can make 1 dinner roll. So you multiply 1/15th by 36. Then you get your answer, and you know how many cups of flour it needs to make 36 dinner rolls. Okay, so I'll leave this part to you, and let's move on and look at part B. Part B, how many rolls can you make with 5 and 2/3 cups of flour? Okay, so from the very beginning, we figured out that 1/15 cup of flour could make one dinner roll. Okay, so now this is just like that movie, the downloading movie problem that you just did for number 1. So now you have 5 and 2/3 cups of flour. So it only takes 1/15 of a cup to make one roll, so you just divide. So 5 and 2/3 divided by 1/15, then your number you get will be the number of dinner rolls that you could make. Okay, so 5 and 2/3 divided by 1/15. Okay, so once again, don't forget to change the mixed number into improper fraction before you simplify. And I will leave this to you too. Okay, and we already did part C. So that's it.